Indian science has a long and rich history. The history of scientific discoveries and development in India dates back to Vedic era, like Aryabhatta, who gave the world zero. Sanskrit, Yoga, Ayurveda, and two of the world's first universities, Nalanda and Takshashila. But then, in 11th century, India entered a dark age. By the British colonized India, she lost much of her once cherished scientific vigor. Then from 18th century, a new age of enlightenment began. And Calcutta was the epic center. This was the Bengal Renaissance.
To the present generation, devotee of science like Dr. M.L.Sircar is quite a forgotten name. During the end of the 19th century, he was tremendously inclined towards medical scientific research work.
Indian scientists had contributed in the War of Independence from the beginning until 1947. One of them is M.L.Sircar. To understand the contribution of M.L.Sircar, better go with Indian Renaissance. M.L.Sircar was amongst the earliest scientists to realize the adverse consequences of foreign rule and the need for self-help. A product of 19th century Indian awakening, he symbolized it in the field of science and technology. Mahendra Lal Sarkar was an allopath. He was the second MD who passed the examination from Calcutta University in 1859. Dr. Sarkar became interested in the field of homeopathy in the later years. He gave up allopathy and embraced homeopathy for the rest of his life.
For this, he was ostracized by the British Medical Association Calcutta chapter. Its leading lights were Professor Goodeve, Ewart and Waller. They ganged up to eliminate him from medical practice in Calcutta. Because of this, Mahendra Lal Sarkar decided to go for homeopathy in full swing, and he had taken his full training under Rajendranath Datta, the famous homeopath of Calcutta, and then he came back with a bang for homeopathy in the city.
In order to propagate his ideas and popularize science, he published the Calcutta Journal of Medicine in 1868 that became an important forum of intellectual interaction during that period. His practice and his brilliance in both allopath and homeopath made him very much prominent. He cured most eminent persons of the time, including Sri Ram Krishna Paramhans, Swami Vivekanand and Maharaj of Tripura. His practice and emphasis on homeopath was significant, but it was a deviation from the traditional fascination of Western medical science, which came through Britishers and other Europeans. There he left the track and wanted to establish an alternative therapy, and that was homeopathy. Mahendra Lal was a patriot and a nationalist. His dream was that India should be self-sufficient and it should help itself in terms of harnessing and developing modern sciences. And for that, he wanted to establish a research institute similar to Royal Society of London, where the Indians could do research in basic science.
He wrote his famous celebrated paper in Calcutta Journal of Medicine, declaring that time has come for indigenous research in India on modern science. And the Indians should be doing their own work with their own money and not depend upon the British government.
तो उन्होंने स्वयं कलकत्ता मेडिकल एसोसिएशन का प्रारंभ किया और एक शोध पत्रिका का प्रारंभ उन्होंने 1870 के आसपास किया, और उस समय उन्होंने होम्योपैथी के बारे में जो उनके वैज्ञानिक शोध निबंध थे वो अपने इस पत्रिका के द्वारा लोगों के सामने, समाज के सामने या पूरे विश्व के सामने ले जाना पसंद किया। लेकिन उसका भी बड़ा विरोध हुआ। लेकिन कुछ भारतीय लोग ऐसे थे कि जो महेंद्र लाल जी के साथ खड़े हुए और वहां पर एक बड़ा विचार मंथन शुरू हुआ। उन्होंने आग्रह किया कि अपने देश में भी विज्ञान की शिक्षा प्रारंभ होनी चाहिए, लेकिन अंग्रेज लोग उसको रोकते थे। उन्होंने विचार किया कि हम अपने देश में आधुनिक विज्ञान का शिक्षा अनुसंधान करने वाली संस्था का निर्माण करेंगे जो भारतीय होगी और केवल भारत के लोगों के लिए होगी।
He produced the approach papers and appealed to the wealthy citizens of the country to contribute to this project with the establishment of Indian Association for Cultivation of Science (IACS) on July 29, 1876. IACS provided India a platform to work for self-help, which produced India's first Nobel laureate in C.V. Raman in 1930, who produced Raman effect in 1928. It was the beginning of Sarkar's contribution by establishing an institute which flourished and progressed throughout their span and freedom struggle. It also hosted some most brilliant Indian scientists like P.C. Ray, P.N. Bose, J.C. Bose, M.N. Saha, who closely acted with the national leadership towards freedom and Swadeshi movement onwards.
Mahendra National Science Institution, first of all, the scientists have to be created for India. There must be a scientific pool, and the Indian scientists would train up the artisan class in India. And that would be the best way, best permanent solution with a minimum expenditure.
Now Mahendra said, we have nothing against industrial arts, industrial research, but there should be a separate body. And we want to stay separate, and we want to promote basic sciences, because without basic science you cannot have applied science.
He wanted to develop and reconstruct the country through the promotion of modern science. And that development definitely against the background of boycottness and poverty that has come as a result of British rule. M.L.Sircar shouldn't be seen just as an individual scientist or a doctor that he was. Rather, he should be considered as one of the leaders in 19th century Renaissance or awakening. His contribution was not in terms of political agitation, rather, it was in terms of preparing a background in which freedom struggle could thrive. He was also a prominent in civic life by having several positions which were also helpful in promoting his cause. He was not creating any political slogans, but by establishing IACS, he was creating best scientists who fought for freedom and national reconstruction. And also, they carry forward the legacy of M.L.Sircar.
His tremendous hard work and selfless dedication in this particular field, he had made himself a pioneer of sorts, in fact. Actually, though he was not a scientist in fact, but he was the time worshipper of science literally. Great result was that he created Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, which has given birth to many a renowned scientists of the past and the present, and will keep on doing this good work.
He was also amongst the founding fathers of modern science in India. His contribution to freedom struggle was indirect but long-lasting and crucial in creating a sense of self-help and national pride. Through this institute, Sarkar's efforts radiated to different areas through intellectual activities that led to general awakening, which was gradually recognized as nationalism and patriotism. His effort to promote science gave India a national pride, and it showed the capability of Indian people that they were also capable of promoting a modern science. It acted as a forum for the blossoming of indigenous scientific minds in the later years and ever since.